Hi, my name is David, and today we're going to talk about project management utilizing Agile methodology for fixed cost software projects, with a particular focus on the advantages of the Agile approach, project planning, and some pitfalls to look out for when managing such projects. So before we actually get into the Agile software development, let's first clarify how software development methodologies such as Agile fit within the broader project management framework. If we look at the Prince2 project management methodology, we can see that the project management exists at three distinct layers: project direction, which is the responsibility of the project board; project management, which is the responsibility of the project manager; and the actual delivery, which is the responsibility of the team managers. Prince2 provides great detail on what to do at the directing and managing levels, but because it is a general project management methodology applicable to all disciplines, it leaves the actual delivery methods open. So at this delivery level is where the Agile software development methodology fits. I don't see Agile as an alternative project management method to Prince2, but rather as a complement to Prince2. When it comes to software development projects, apart from the obvious goal of delivering the completed software on time, on budget, with all the required functionality, I also like to involve the stakeholders of the system as much as possible during the development process, so that 1, they truly feel they are part of the development of the system; 2, to draw upon their in-depth knowledge of the business; and 3, to provide them with a reassurance that the system's development is progressing. Without going into too much technical detail, Agile software development is where the development of a software system is broken down into a number of mini or micro projects. Each of these mini projects produces tested and functioning features, which are a subset of the overall system requirements. The process is then subsequently repeated until the system is completed. The advantage of this iterative approach to software development over a more traditional waterfall method is that it produces a fully functioning system components earlier, which in turn allows the stakeholders to review functioning components at an early stage of the project's life, and subsequently allows change requests to be made earlier on. We've adapted this Agile approach with some traditional project management methods and tools to ensure that the constraints imposed by cost, time, and functionality are still met. Although this particular method has been tailored to suit the needs of an external service provider like Picnet, I think it can still be generally applied to any fixed-term software project, even if it's developed in-house, as the same constraints apply to these projects as well. Typically, when we develop a software application on a fixed cost basis, the project follows three main stages: the analysis stage, the development stage, and the acceptance stage. Here is an example of a technical delivery plan for a software project that I managed previously. In this plan, you can see the main stages of the project. To kick off the project, we have the analysis stage. I won't go into too much detail as this will be the subject of another video, but let's just say that this is where we set the scope, analyze the business logic, and to a lesser extent analyze the functional requirements of the system. The system requirement specification document is then produced, which is then reviewed by the customer and amended, and amendments made before the customer can sign off and before the start of any actual software coding. Our development stage is divided into a number of phases depending on the size of the project and the business requirements. Deliverables at the end of each phase is a piece of functioning software that contains a subset of the full system's functions. At the end of each phase, the customer is given a period of time to review the software and provide feedback in key areas such as business logic, functionality, usability, and aesthetics. This feedback allows us to refine the application over the course of the development stage. To make better use of available time for a project, we normally overlap the customer review process with the next development phase, so that when a customer is reviewing the developed features of one phase, the developers are already starting the development for the next iteration. Time is allocated at the end of the second and subsequent development phases to implement any changes required as a result of the customer review. In this example project, we have 2 iterations of development over a period of 6 weeks, where we increasingly add new features to the developing system until all of the functional requirements have been developed. By doing this, our customers can provide feedback to us on what they like and what they don't like about the developed features at an early stage, and hopefully pick up on any errors in fundamental business logic which can be rectified at an early stage. Also, by delivering fully functioning portions of the system to the customer, they are provided with a tangible object that they can interact with. This has 2 advantages. Firstly, it provides them with some degree of peace of mind that the project is moving forward and progressing. And secondly, small requirement details that have been missed during the analysis stage will usually be revealed when the key stakeholders of the system have had a chance to actually interact with the system. Now, some people might say that during business analysis, all functioning requirements should have been documented. But in most cases, some of these requirements are not immediately apparent even to the users until they've had a chance to use the system. After the final review and rectification cycle, and after we are happy with the functionality and quality of the product, the system is then handed over to the customer to begin the acceptance stage. The acceptance stage normally consists of the customer performing the UAT, followed by a short period of fixes and tweaking of the system on any issues found during UAT. Once this is complete, the application is then theoretically ready to be accepted by the customer. As well as using the Agile iterative structure for my software development projects, we also utilize the standard tools of project management, such as project status reports, project team meetings, and change request processes. Now I would like to move on to what are some of the potential pitfalls when managing a project using this approach. The first and probably most important pitfall that a project manager must be aware of is making sure that the stakeholders or customers, in my case, understand the iterative development and review processes, and they have the resources available to do the review and provide feedback when required during the project. This is extremely important, as the iterative improvement approach of the Agile method only works if feedback is provided in a timely manner. The second pitfall to avoid is scope creep. The problem of scope creep is particularly prevalent in software projects, and the Agile method lends itself to scope creep. However, PM must tightly control any expansion of functionality and scope of the project. This is not to say that all changes to functionality should be rejected, but any expansion in functionality or project scope should be weighed against the time and budget constraints. If the customer insists on scope expansions that will cause the project to fall behind schedule, then the stakeholders must be informed of the consequences, and there must be a thorough process to document significant changes in scope. Thirdly, try to set realistic milestones for each development iteration. I generally consult with the development teams to see which functions naturally lend to being developed together, and I tend to set each iteration period to be between 2 to 3 weeks in length. Lastly, but not least, is communication with the stakeholder. Weekly project status update reports and meetings are a good way to keep the stakeholders informed of the progress of the project. Also, after each development cycle, I make it a practice to personally demonstrate the newly developed functions as well as any new fixes from the last iteration to the customer. So that's a short rundown of how I would go about managing software development projects and some tips on some potential issues to look out for. I hope you have gotten something out of it. Keep an eye out for more upcoming videos on various topics, and I'll see you later.